Krystyna, welcome to the Block by Block podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Peter. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Let's begin with your origin story. I find that that's been pretty helpful to see where people are coming from as they enter marketing into Web3. Tell us about your origin story.
Of course, I finished uni in management and I did some marketing there. So I had some educational background when it comes to marketing. And then I went and I worked for a couple of years in actually fashion PR and marketing. So I worked in London for some of the fashion houses and the British Fashion Council. And then when the pandemic started, I was already starting getting interested in crypto and the digital economy. And I decided I'm going to go back to Poland, where I'm originally from, and go back to uni to study digital sociology. And I did that for 2 years. I wrote my thesis in blockchain, actually in the discourse on decentralization and the role of DAOs. And then from that, I decided I already have the marketing and PR background. So I'm going to combine it with my new passion, which is Web3. And this is how I ended up in Web3 marketing, starting from Web3 PR agencies. So I worked in a PR agency called EAK Digital. Then I went to an agency called Maneuver. Then I went back to EAK Digital. And then I became the CMO of cookie3.
That's amazing. Tell us about what learnings did you bring with you from working in marketing and fashion? Like, what are some elements from fashion that you can port over to Web3 that makes sense and has worked for you?
I think, it's a very specific type of customer you have in Web3 and in luxury fashion, because both things, they're not a commodity. So it's not commodity marketing. It's not like you're marketing, I don't know, juice or milk or I don't know, even let's say cars, because most of people need cars. It's sort of like a luxury product. So first thing, how to market something that people essentially don't need, but they want it. So this is something that I brought. Another thing that stayed with me is, fashion marketing is sort of like an established industry because fashion's been around for a long time. And something that I feel I'm bringing in that not many Web3 marketers do is using data for marketing. So looking at your conversion, understanding what works and what doesn't, rather than just, trying to guess and puzzle the pieces. It's really understanding your target audience, building up a strategy and following it rather than, just doing it on the go.
Let's talk about that. I think it's a really unique background, and I see so many corollaries and really important lessons from fashion. Especially the phrase that you just used, marketing something that people don't need but want. And so tell us a little bit about more. Tell us more about that, and how do you market something that people don't necessarily need, but and some don't even really want sometimes, but yeah, tell us more about that.
Okay, so it's a bit different in fashion and Web3 but it also can be the same. So first of all, it's about the feeling of sort of first of all, it can be luxury, it can be a feeling of status, it can be a thrill of having something. So I think the great analogy between fashion and crypto would be the Hermes bags. These bags cost hundreds of thousands. People buy them as an investment, and it's a thrill that the bag goes up in value or it doesn't. Similar with crypto. And it's also like owning an expensive NFT. It's you. I own a doodle, and my doodle is me. And I totally understand the feeling of owning this. And it's a similar feeling of owning a designer piece of clothing. It's a feeling of status, it's a feeling of luxury, it's a feeling of being able to access something that you choose to access, not something that you need. With crypto, the economic layer comes onto it as well. So it's a thrill of investing, it's a thrill of finding the new project. Also, feel fashion marketing and crypto marketing can be similar when it comes to very new designers. You have a lot of people who are searching for quirky new designers, invest them and get their items early on as they build up their career. And similar with new projects in crypto, people try to find, this gem.
That's really cool. Yeah, as you shared your background on fashion, it made me think immediately of NFTs, how it becomes part of your identity, and the financial layer on top of NFTs, really make a difference. You feel so much more special when the price is up. When price is down, you feel like it's a commodity, like it's a consumer packaged good, like milk and juice, like you said. How do you take advantage of that part, the identity piece? Or not advantage, but how do you use that piece of knowledge to become a better marketer in the Web3 space?
Well, for me, I never undervalue the role of community. I know it's something that is being said over and over again, and like it feels like everyone's repeating it, and I feels like a phrase, everyone's just like throwing around. But this identity, to have a sense of identity, you need a sense of belonging, you need this community. And if you look at really strong projects, they all have very, very good communities. They have their sayings, like for example, Monad has the Gmonad saying. At Cookie DAO, we're having like the Gmuki saying, or like LFC Cook. So it's like it creates sort of like an inside joke, an inside thing that you understand, that gives you the feeling of the community. And something in Web3, because Web3 is so based around, decentralization. So making sure that your community is heard, and it's not necessarily through like on-chain snapshots, but it's there in your Discord server, for example. And for Cookie DAO, we have a section where people can give their ideas and they can post them, and like someone will respond. And if it's a good idea, like we're say when it's going to be implemented, or we're really open to people saying we can implement this and this for you, and like we would like to be, let's say, rewarded and cookie or be paid for this work, so we're happy to hire from the community. We always like post job adverts first in the community, and people have the feeling that they're building with us. Like no suggestion goes unnoticed. Very often suggestions are really good in the community as to what can be improved, what can be done. They're like, could we maybe do a set of tutorials? Of course, and we go and do tutorials. So in creating this identity, you cannot treat your community, as just customers. You have to treat them as someone who's building the project with you, and that's where this sense of identity is coming in.
Now, creating those cultural pillars of sayings, or calling the community like a specific name, like the Link Army, for example, that's also really, you kind of take that for granted a lot of the times. At least I do. You Until you try to build a community, then you realize how hard it is to come up with these sayings that are, ubiquitous in a community, or a name for a community. These are kind of things that almost feel like they're organic. They have to come up from somewhere. How do you do that and make it work where it feels genuine and authentic and not fake?
I think it needs to, first of all, come from the community, and it needs to be justified. Like you can't, come in and impose sayings on your community. I always like to do like real world analogies. So for me, like the largest like community in the real world is the Taylor Swift community. Like Swifties, like with the concert that was happening just now, like I feel like many people could actually like experience this community. So this is like a great example. So first you have a little group or a little community, and as it grows, the community starts figuring out these names, these actions. So it's coming back to what I said, building with them, accepting their suggestions. And then someone in the community will say like Jimuki, and then like people will start using it. If that's not happening, you can be a founder, you can be a marketer, you can be a moderator, and you can start using it. Just don't overuse it. Like start by throwing it, like I don't know, once or twice a week, and then as people start to like use it and talk about it, like this way, like the community will start using these sayings. But the best thing is when they come organically from community members, because they're so excited about the project, they spend time in your Discord, they spend time researching you, and they start telling things, or start talking between one another in Discord. This is something, it seems little, but for me, it actually is such a big breakthrough in a project. As many projects, you see their Discord servers, and in the Discord server, it will be just like a question, a moderator answer, and then it will be silence there. And when you start seeing community members talking between one another, you sort of feel like, oh yeah, this cult is emerging, and you're there and you're in a good place. The best way for these sayings and cult culture is, to come organically just by you actively building an engaged community.
I like that you brought up the Taylor Swift example. Are you a Swiftie?
I am a huge Swiftie.
My wife is too, and I actually traveled the world with her to follow Taylor around. She saw her in London, we went to Vienna, but that show was canceled because of the terrorist
Oh yeah.
attack. Went to Australia, to Sydney. Where else did we go? She saw her in Vegas. She's a crazy Swiftie. Were you
Well,
able to go to the Eras tour this year or
yeah,
last
I
year too?
only went to one Eras Tour concert. Then I really wanted to go. Then she was, I think, in Australia, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna fly out, but it's like no time. But I went to the one in Warsaw, and I absolutely loved it. Like one of the best days of
Oh, that's
2024 for me.
amazing. That is so cool. Yeah, I have tons of pictures of my wife just sharing. That's the other thing, a cultural kind of anchor in the community is friendship bracelets. Like that just came out of, I don't even know the origin story there. I think it's from one of our songs, but my wife would
Yeah,
come with a bag full of friendship bracelets and just become part of the community. And it's so special within the community, right? To
and then
create something like that that's not fake.
sayings wise, on the friendship bracelet, you will have like, the first letters of songs, and many Swifties will be able to tell like what song it is just by the first letters. This is like similar to like having sayings in your community. And yeah, for me, it's a great community building example in the real life. And when you're thinking about building community, it's a good way to like circle back to it. Like, yes, it's not crypto, but you'll be able to learn. Like, you don't have to necessarily learn how to do something in Web3 only. Look at what's happening in Web2 in a real world, and then adapt it to Web3, because Web3 is still new. Like, so many things haven't been done yet.
Absolutely. Let's switch topics to Cookie3. So you're the CMO of Cookie3, and for those not familiar with Cookie3 and its features, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. Hang on a second, because I'm gonna let out my dog, because I think my husband just came home and like he's super nervous. All
Oh,
right.
that's great. Sounds good.
All right. Apologies, because he was just being super loud, so I think it could have affected the audio. All right. So the question was, what is Cookie3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Cookie3 is the B2B SaaS platform for analytics and basically everything to do with Web3 marketing. So one of the things that distinguishes us from, let's say, Google Analytics or any Web2 service is that we're able to on-chain actions in addition to off-chain actions. So in Google Analytics, for example, like you'll be able to see where your traffic comes from, who's clicking on what links they're coming on. You can see if they have the wallet extension, but once they connect their wallet on chain, you can't track that what's happening from that point onward. And obviously for Web3 businesses, that's like one of the most important things, because you want to know, for example, how much are they trading, or did they mint your NFT? Did they do anything on chain, or did they just connect the wallet and then went away and never use your site again, or just claim their airdrop but actually are not holding it or sold it instantly or not using your product. So we track the whole journey, which is one of our really strong selling points and what we do. And then recently, you said you've been using it yourself. We also opened another part of Cookie3 Analytics, which is called KOL Intelligence. So we look at data on the entire crypto Twitter, and first of all, we do KOL scoring. So it's not a mystery that many Web3 KOLs are just shillers or have bot followings or aren't posting things that are actually converting and have good engagement. So we implemented scoring that is able to tell you how good actually a KOL is in terms of real engagement. We have something that we call smart followers. So we have a list of followers and crypto Twitter accounts that we know are good. We know that they are like respectful. We know these are real people. We know they are matter in the Web3 space. And on crypto Twitter, they don't have to be huge, but they just might have to have like a good engagement and some sort of following. So we call them smart followers. So a smart follower score is also something that is a good indicator of how good this KOL is. Because if you have a KOL that's got like a K followers and let's say only 3 smart followers, that means that this KOL might be either followed by like botted accounts, inactive accounts, or people who are just like airdrop hunters but aren't actually like respected Web3 users. And then we've got a similar metric called Mindshare. So you can search on any projects on KOL Intelligence and you can sort of see like what Mindshare this project have, what Mindshare do topics have. So Mindshare is we take the whole of the crypto Twitter conversations that are happening, and then we calculate how many of these conversations are happening around a certain topic, a certain KOL, or a certain project.
Let's talk about Mindshare really quick. It's such an important part of crypto, and it's so interrelated with KOLs. So KOLs, for the audience, it's key opinion leader or influencer. It's essentially influencer marketing if you think about the Web2 space. It just has in Web3, it just has a very disproportionate impact on what people do with their time and money. And so there are these KOLs that are either on crypto Twitter or on YouTube, and they talk about specific projects, and then it creates a lot of mindshare and then eventually demand. Do you think mindshare equals price in crypto? Is that an assumption that's safe to make?
So I can talk on the example of AI agents. I haven't done enough research in KOL analytics for, not AI agent projects, but because, we as cookie3 are also the core contributors to the Cookie DAO, and we're building the Cookie Fund platform, which is basically more retail analytics of AI agents. And we employ the same mindshare mechanism we have in KOL intelligence there. And very often what we see that price trend follows the mindshare trend. So we see mindshare going up, and then we'll see the price going up. We'll see the mindshare drop, and then like a couple of hours later, we'll see a price drop. In the newest iteration of Cookie Fund that we released last week, you can see there is like a graph that we plotted, which is the price versus mindshare graph. We have like the 50-50 split there, and you can see that most projects and most tokens are scattered like really close to the line, which indicates a correlation. The one that is like a big difference that is like completely out is AIXBT, but I think it's also because they've got like such a huge mindshare right now, and they're the leader in this space, that the mindshare beats the price because everyone's just talking about them. But for the rest, like, it's all on the line, so the correlation is actually really big, which is why
That
mindshare
is
is
so
important.
interesting.
Right? Yeah. The one thing, if I was to give a tip
Now,
to a marketer or a founder, the one thing that I'd say you do, like if you don't have any time, is just go on crypto Twitter, spend at least half an hour browsing, and post something every day. Literally post what's in your mind. You see something, you think it, you post it, and this is going to grow your project.
that is really cool. That's really good advice for founders and really anyone in a project, to talk about something that you guys are doing, like build in public, build in real time, and do it so that others are involved. That makes such a big difference in terms of these bots, AI bots that are AI agents that will then take that data and then incorporate it into their LLMs, and then it becomes part of the conversation. I think that's really what it boils down to, is you want to become part of the conversation. Again, going back to the
Exactly.
Web2 space, you always want to be in the set of kind of consideration, right? When you think of a funnel, you want to be talked about.
Yeah, obviously mindshare is, top of the
Um,
funnel. You need to have it, and then you need to implement stuff lower down the funnel, because just having mindshare, like, it's a good step, but then you want people converting into your website, you want people connecting their wallets, you want them to, I know, mint your NFTs, trade in your platform, buy your token or whatever. So you need to have incentives that were down the funnel. But with a big Mindshare, you have a big inflow at the beginning of the funnel, and then the flow through the funnel, it's also more and more. Something that we did at cookie3 that worked really well, like we wrote a guide for the entire team and said, whoever wants to be active on crypto Twitter, we 100% support you. Like, here is a guide of how to do this, what to say, what to not say. If you've got any questions, like where to help. We incentivize the team. So whenever we have for projects that we're working with, if we have let's say pre-sale allocation for the team or some extra NFTs for the team, like the people who are active on crypto Twitter, like they get rewarded for their support. So that always goes to them. We also give, you can give on Twitter, you can give affiliation. So everyone who said I will be active on crypto Twitter, I want to take part in this initiative, gets the affiliation on Twitter that they're from Cookie, which also incentivizes them. And our Mindshare and our visibility has really grew since a lot of our team members started being active. And it also shows how different the team is, and it shows the soul of people that are building the project, which I feel in Web3 is especially important, because people buy people, not products. They buy the founders, they buy the vision, they buy the team. And if the public, if your community is feeling that they know you and they know who's building the project, they trust you, and this is why they also stay with the project.
Let's switch back to KOLs really quick, because it's becoming a really important pillar in a lot of marketing in Web3. And I'm seeing more and more projects trying to learn about working with KOLs, selecting KOLs, trying to decide what outcome metrics or success metrics there are from working with KOLs. Can you share maybe your thoughts on that, and maybe bring it back to also some of the KOL intelligence features that Cookie3 has, and how that could help projects learn which KOLs to work with, which ones, how to do the outreach to these KOLs, and then and how to actually work with them, and what makes sense in terms of success.
All right, so I can take you through sort of my process of working with KOLs. So, for example, if I know I'm working with a KOL manager or a KOL agency, and they have a number of KOLs that they work with, I will very often ask them to send me a list or a sample list, because not all of them want to share the whole list. So then I ask for a sample list of KOLs they work with. The first thing I do is I upload it to KOL Intelligence, and then immediately I get all the scores, the engagement score, the small follower score. Then I go into sort of searching for keywords. And, right now we're looking for more KOLs that are working with AI agents. So I search for AI agents keywords, because KOLs are not recognized in AI agent space for this particular project, which is Cookie DAO. There will be irrelevant, because Cookie DAO is all about AI agents right now. So then I'm able to filter out the entire feed of these KOLs, see how many posts on the topic they did, and look at these posts. So I'm able to have the entire feed of just these KOLs posts, and I'm able to read through them and see whether this is something that I see would be beneficial for my project if these people talked about it. Then another thing that I will do is, for every list, you can search your project and search a list. And in KOL Intelligence, you can see a matrix of KOLs, and there are 4 quadrants, which you have emerging, you have stars quadrant, you have super OGs KOLs, you have hidden gems, and then you have irrelevant KOLs as well. So I see how the KOLs from the list are scattered there. And if the list of KOLs is either really good, strong KOLs, that's great. I like to have a good ratio of raising stars, so micro KOLs with their own bubbles. Then hidden gems, which is KOLs that are really strong, have really strong engagement, but aren't huge. And then a couple of these really big KOLs. The reason why I don't want to have a lot huge KOLs is because their audience is so big, they don't always follow whatever they do. It's more being in a newspaper or something, being featured by this great KOL. It helps your reputation, but it's not like someone will immediately onboard on your project because they're talking about you, because it's just, they're just too big to have like a really closed circle. That's why these hidden gems emerging are super important, and then a couple of these really, really big ones is a good mix. Then something else that I would do in KOL intelligence, I would then go into each individual KOL, and there I can see more metrics on them. So I can see their score. We've got like emerging deity level, we've got like, top KOL. So we'll look that. I would look at their smart followers. In the individual KOL profile, you can also see the trend. So I can see whether their engagement is rising or whether their engagement is falling. If their engagement is falling, I will look for a cause, but probably not want to work with them, because I don't want to work with someone if people are unfollowing or whose Twitter algorithm is like showing less and less of their post. And then I will have like their top tweets in their profile as well, which will be super helpful for me to understand what their audience is really interested in, because top tweets are based on the number of bookmarks, likes, comments, and engagement under the post. So if I see like the top posts are not really relevant to the narrative that I'm trying to push, so let's say I've got like a more dev related product and I'm trying to attract devs, and all of their top posts are about airdrops, then that gives me an indication that their audience is more airdrop hunters and airdrop facing and more retail rather than developer audience. So it might be an indication for me, this KOL, like, it may be really good, but it's just not the synergy with the project that I'm working for that I'm looking at. So yeah, that would be my process.
No, that's going through the process that you follow. I think it will be really helpful for the audience, and that's been helpful for me. I'm a user of cookie3, a customer, and I love KOL intelligence. One question I have, and I think this might be relevant to some projects that are both B2B as well as B2C. There are some projects, let's say in the privacy space, that primarily market to developers as well as to other businesses. But the role of KOLs is also really important for their token. And so in that kind of situation, they have to market to two different audiences. You've got the B2B space working with other projects so that they want to be integrated into their privacy features, maybe want to be integrated into the workflow of their customer. But then there's also the token as a product, and the primary audience for that are primarily crypto people. How do you work with a project like that? And how do you find KOLs that talk about privacy because they're interested in the token, but then the project is primarily or is also interested in working with B2B customers that, maybe, and some of these might be governments, some of it might be local governments or big governments or municipalities that are interested in privacy. So how do you work with a customer like that? And how could they use cookie3 to help them be successful?
All right. So first thing, and I'm gonna be really honest here, like if you cannot find the link between your product and your token, like that's the business problem, that's the product problem, that's not the marketing problem. Like it needs to be there. Like marketing is marketing what's there. That's something like if you're a marketer and your founder or your business team or your product team is saying like, we need to push the token, it needs to go up, and then you ask about the token utility and how it connects with the product that you have and then infrastructure that you're building, and they're saying like it doesn't, then tell them like, guys, we need to fix that. We need a better business plan, because let's say memes, but it's all about hype and it's all about marketing. But if you're saying you're like a privacy project, find a utility for your token, whether it's like we've built a cookie fan. In cookie fan, you lock the cookie token to access cookie fan. Project that use the cookie data swarm API, the cookie token, like the payment that they do for using the API, 50% of it is used for the buyback of the token and burn of the token, which is the utility for the token. And then everyday users of Web3, they don't need to understand exactly the technology of like, a data API, but they understand that because this data API is being used by builders building other AI agents and other technology, they are buying this API, hence the cookie token is being in demand and then it's being burned, which has the immediate effect on the cookie token. So this is one example. So finding this link between the product and your token is essential. And then marketers' role is doing two things. Is first of all, communicating what your product does in simple terms. So your target, retail audience understands that it is needed by other builders, other developers, that other businesses will be using it. And then second thing, that they understand where does the token come into play and why the success of the technology is having the immediate impact on the token. So then I'd say you sort of like do, two marketing. You do marketing for the token, and then you do marketing for the technology. When it comes to using KOLs, like I'd rather lean toward using them for the token and educating the KOLs about the role of the token in connection to the technology, because these KOLs are going to convince this retail audience that this token is going to perform well because of the technological layer. There is this guy on Twitter. Oh my God, I feel so bad that I forgot what his name is. He recently did like a really great post about cookie3, but he explains like projects that are quite technical in a super simple way in a thread. And I love it. And it's like these KOLs. You don't need a KOL that will say, cookie will make, X soon. Because this is shilling. Like, I feel like Web3 is mature enough that not many people follow shillers. You need a KOL that is going to say this project is going to succeed because this is a technological layer. I don't know, like they're the next Google, they're the next Facebook of Web3. Explain why, explain the role of the token, and make people interested in the project, that they will go buy the token and follow the project to look at project success. So this is why, like you said, for a privacy project, it's important to give like these technological updates, but everyone now and then say, like, for example, we have this many clients, like we've done this technological update in an easy way, and these many people are using our services now. We're partnering with this and this project because we're building our infrastructure further, because that's the people who tapped into the project because they believe in it, are not necessarily technical. Let's say they found out from a KOL and they believe that because of this technological infrastructure, this token is going to succeed. And then them seeing your project developing is just solidifying them in the belief that this project is developing, this project is growing, and it's going to achieve what they believe it's going to achieve.
I think that approach to marketing strategy and content, and then working with KOLs to provide that education, or to be one of the channels that provides that education, I think is really helpful to view it that way. And that's certainly how projects can work with KOLs, to find the ones that can help elucidate, simplify, and communicate the strategy and the strategy of the project, the utility of the token, and do it in a way that everyday normal people can understand, I think is super valuable. And you're right, it's in contrast to shilling or just promoting the token and price. You want to find the ones that can help educate. That is really helpful. Now, tell us how can you find those within the cookie3 platform?
Yes, so I would do it by either looking at other projects that are similar, or projects that I know have good marketing and can be working with KOLs that I might be working with. So you can search their ticker, or you can search their name in KOL Intelligence, and you will immediately get the list of KOLs that are mentioning this project and talking about this project, which gives you a good indication that these are the KOLs that you want to work with. Another thing is finding KOLs that talk about the topic that interests you. So rather than searching for the project in KOL Intelligence, you would search for the keywords that interest you, and then you would get a list of KOLs that are making posts using these keywords. You would get all the KOLs scoring next to it, so you would get like a lot of data. And then you can do two things. You can either go and like start DMing them on crypto Twitter and asking if they want to work with you. But if you have a little bit more time, then it comes back to what I said, like your team being active. Try to growth hack them on crypto Twitter, create a list of them for you on Twitter. Go every day through a list, and if they are posting something that you have something to comment or something to say, go comment, say it, so you are on their radar. So either they organically start talking about you, which is, like the best case scenario, but then when you approach them, you're like not a stranger. They know who you are from the comments, and they know because they like engaged with you under their post. So it always gives you like a stronger position to come and look for a collaboration rather than just cold DMing.
That's really good advice. Now, we've spent a lot of time on KOLs, influencers, and marketing strategy that involves educating the audience through KOLs. Tell us about other features that Cookie3 provides that maybe that you have found especially useful for marketers that maybe people don't know much about.
Let me think. I think coming back to the analytics part that I'm finding really useful is the old UTM tracking and then setting the conversion goals. So for example, I found it really useful when we did like a big PR campaign with Coinlist, for example, or if I'm working with news outlets or websites or newsletters that can just implement the link for me. Because for me, I'm getting instant data of like clicks and who's moving on chain and who's doing what, and I'm able to assess how actually valuable for me a given source is. So I might decide like I want to continue sponsoring this newsletter because it's bringing me a lot of valuable users, or like this newsletter is actually like not bringing enough on-chain users, which probably means for me like it's not cost effective, like I don't want to work with them anymore. Another interesting thing that I really like is being able to see on-chain data of your users. So for example, if I'm using Cookie3 Analytics on my site, I can see who's connecting their wallet, and then I can filter through the list of my wallets and see what other tokens they're using. So what are they holding in their wallets? How much are they holding in their wallets? Which the first thing, what are they holding, gives me like a good indication of who they are. Are they holding more NFTs? Are they holding more altcoins? Are they holding just like the safe coins, so like let's say like Ethereum? And if I see like a lot of my users are holding, let's say, a smaller project, it might be a good idea to go and ask this project for a collaboration or think about a partnership, because it clearly means between our target audiences and customers, there is some sort of synergy. The second thing that I said, which is you can track like how much on-chain volume they're trading and exchanging and how much they're holding in their wallets, give me an indication of what sort of user I am dealing with. Because if I see like most of my users hold less than $100 in their wallet, then I also know that they connected more of like a test wallet, or like they're sort of like a trash wallet to my website, which they just use for testing. But if I see like, I don't know, a lot of my users hold over like $10,000 or $50,000, then I know like they're really like invested in the project, because they connected like their real wallet that they're using every day for like transactions and trading. And it gives me an indication that it's a way more quality user that's connecting.
That's really great. I mean, you're covering the whole area of attribution, which is a really tough topic in crypto, because I've discovered, a lot of people don't go to the project's websites. And so in what ways can you use the UTM to help you better understand your customer, since attribution is just a really, really hard topic in crypto?
Well, so same as in Web2, you can use these UTMs, to see where they're coming from, sort of the demographics, same as you would do with like Google Analytics or whatever. Where Cookie3 comes into play is, the on-chain actions. So let's say they came to my swap platform from a newsletter link. I see that they came in, then I can exactly understand the sort of audience that is, for example, coming through this newsletter. So then if I see, I don't know, whatever in their wallet that they're like Pudgy Penguin holders, then I might decide to do something more Pudgy Penguin related and then newsletter next time, because I know this is going to be interesting to them. And this is way more likely to like bring more people to click through this link and actually connect their wallet and do the action that I want. So I feel that is really important. And then obviously, you talked about attribution, but I like to think that we're like an analytics tool for the entire funnel, which is like KOL intelligence and UTMs are. Like KOL intelligence is attribution, then UTMs is conversion, both off-chain and on-chain. Then you can see how many of these users are returning, how are they behaving, which is the retention. And then finally, like back to UTMs, you can use UTMs to track referrals or incentivize people and see how it's working. So it's, really analyzing the whole funnel. It will probably be like in the next 3 to 4 months, but we actually want to put out a funnel view. So you will be able to see the funnel and you will be able which data at each stage of the funnel you want to see. So when you log into the app, you will be able to like see, exactly like the whole conversion from step to step. So at one glance, you'll get like a full understanding of what is happening and make quicker decisions.
I would love that view. I know for me personally, I come from the world of Web 2 funnels, and it just becomes my, it becomes my roadmap. But in Web 3, for some projects, it's hard to even figure out exactly what stage of the funnel you're in, because for some projects, there is actually no conversion. And so some projects might not have a product yet. And so they're still in the middle of building mode, yet they're trying to build awareness for the product or the future product that they're about to launch. And so when you're working with projects that are customers of cookie3 that might have they're not quite sure what their funnel looks like, how do you help them figure that out?
I think, for their funnel, they need to have, for the further stages of the funnel, they need to have either like a token or the product. But if they're just starting to build, like it's the mindshare, it's just being there in the conversation. And most important tip that I have is like, don't advertise what you're building. Don't say like, oh, we'll be building the next thing. Be present in the conversation and let other believes that you know what you're doing, because what you're contributing to the space on, let's say, crypto Twitter or other social media is valuable, and you're becoming, sort of like the opinion leader or even the KOL yourself in this space. In this way, drive mindshare to your project, because people are going to be like, oh yeah, this guy, like he's got such great remarks, like I've been chatting to him on crypto Twitter, I've been following him, oh, and this is the thing he's building, like yes, I am interested in it. So this way, so drive this mindshare up, but not only around your project, but also around the ideas and team and the topic, so that you actually have a big mindshare within a given topic and the niche in which you're building in.
Now, one final question before we end. I would love to hear your thoughts. You've been in this space for a while and you work in KOL intelligence, marketing analytics. I mean, you get to see how projects are really evolving within the Web3 space. What are some trends that you're seeing? And can you help us kind of see around the corner what we might expect in the next, I don't know, 3 to 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is, we will keep working on AI agents. I feel we will see AI agents coming to like help with marketing as well. You already see most AI agents right now are posting on Twitter and are reply guys, and you see more and more projects launching their own AI agents. We're even actually testing like an internal agent just for our Slack that helps us with documentation. So our CPO, he's put it up today because he's been like bombarded with questions about like, this doesn't work, how do I use this? And then like this agent like literally replies to us and let us know how to do stuff. So I feel this is going to help, and also people will be able to tag agents on Twitter and ask questions about the project, and it will instantly reply. It will engage with interesting tweets that are relevant to your project. So also doing the labor part that I just spoke about is so important in building Mindshare. And I feel like with us, so cookie3 and also with cookie3 and also with Kaito, and the great work like Emily from Hype has been doing, there is way more emphasis put on the role of data in Web3. I feel like together with agents, like the data and data-driven decisions narrative is really emerging. So I feel more and more projects, either for, their internal operations or even for, external stuff that they're doing, they will be leaning more at data, and we'll see way more data companies and data-driven decisions in Web3 in the coming year.
Amazing. Krystyna from cookie3, thank you so much for spending time with us on the Block by Block podcast.
Thank you for having me, Peter.